Afternoon. It's Rebecca here at the Lebanon Senior Center bringing you another Crafternoon. Today we are doing our last craft for July. We were celebrating Christmas in July this month, bringing back some activities that we did this past December that were pretty popular. Um, as we were looking at gifts you could give at Christmas time or things to make, it was just a lot of fun. So we did two different weeks that I'm kind of taking a sample of from December to do today. We did gifts from the kitchen and we did gifts from the bath. I happened to use quite a few kitchen items as well to make them, and it was a lot of fun. And the folks that joined us got to do a make and take. Unfortunately, I can't have you here to do a make and take today, so we will be just kind of showing you some of the things we did. I'm going to be including a lot of links in commentary below, so that you can definitely make these projects your own or look up some different recipes that use ingredients you like or flavors that you like. And we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to do the kitchen side first. So for the kitchen side, I thought we would start with talking about some herbs. So summer is a great time to grow and gather and get your hands on people's excess herbs that they're growing. My personal rosemary bush is turning into a tree at home. Had it for about 5 years, and it's just a monstrosity at this point. I can never seem to keep up with it. And this is the rosemary that came off my bush this morning. When you're doing recipes like we're going to be doing, fresh rosemary smells wonderful and is great if you're using it right now. If you're going to be using it in some of the herb blends we're using today, you will want to dry that. So just a refresher course, if you haven't dried your herbs before, you can do it in the oven. Again, internet's a great source, or there's a lot of books on preserving foods at the library. You've got to do a low heat for a long period of time usually. So a food dehydrator is another great option. And of course, letting nature do its thing will work too. Some herbs are more sensitive to others. As you dry your own, you might find that they get a little more brown than what you see at the store. It's a little harsher when you're not using the instant food techniques that some of the large companies have. When we're talking about things like rosemary, they're really hardy, and so rosemary you can actually dry very easy. You might have seen big garlic strands hanging or chilies hanging. You can kind of do that with rosemary. You can bind the ends together and just hang it somewhere in your kitchen. It makes it smell really good for a while in your kitchen, acting like a air freshener a little bit. And then just over time, it's going to dry. It'll take, you want to give it a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If you're just letting it air dry, it does depend on the temperature of your home and humidity. But you kind of want it to break apart. So I saw a leaf come off. So with dry rosemary, when you bend it, it shouldn't just bend and want to flex back. It'll just snap in half. These little leaves will just break when it's fully dry. So that's a good instant way to check. So all kinds of herbs can be dried, and again, for specifics, you can certainly look on the internet or grab a book at your library. As you might have noticed, I have a collection of store-bought herbs over here. I haven't got around to getting a bunch dried myself. I do have a couple of other herb plants I keep at home. I enjoy the fresh herb access during the summertime outside my kitchen. But, right now we're going to do with the store stuff. Now, when you're buying herbs, you can certainly get them in big containers. I know I really miss Mega Foods because they used to have these really big containers I could buy for a couple of bucks and do fun things like making my own herb blends with to give as gifts for cheaper, because you get into some of the major grocery stores when you start getting this size, and it can cost you a pretty penny for some herbs. So definitely you can partner with people to make herbs go further, especially if you're not going to use the whole jar. Doing this with a friend so you split the costs can be a great way to go, or just keep those cost points in mind before you start a project. Again, this is why we're talking about it at Christmas time, because it makes great gifts. And right now, when we're talking about herb blends, if you're at home, if you're still really hard pressed to social distance, really trying to maintain your distance, you find yourself at home alone a lot, kind of bored looking for things to do, start thinking about those Christmas gifts. Putting up some herb blends or some seasoning packets can be a fun thing to do now, and you'll be a step ahead come winter time when maybe we can be gathering with friends and family for the holidays. You can make cute little packaging right now, all kinds of fun things. Of course, you can also go one step further. All those grandparents out there might be known by the family for your famous, casserole or certain dish that everybody loves and everybody wants when you gather. Now might be a great time to write out some beautiful recipe cards or get those printed off and typed up and put together in a couple of pages of recipes that mean something to your family, a very precious gift that you can give them. And then you can attach some of those herbs or seasonings or a seasoning blend that you use in that recipe to accompany it to give as a gift. Just takes it one step further, makes it really special and really dear to your loved ones who will very much appreciate it, even if not now, definitely down the road as they get to learn and cook like their grandparents did, and will bring back sweet memories. Okay, so one of the herb blends I really like to use in my house is Italian seasoning. And sometimes, we think about, you can buy Italian seasoning off the shelf at a grocery store. You can get it pre-mixed. One of the fun things about making your own herb blends, when we're talking about blends, is that you can change the ratios of herbs and make it your own. So if you don't like oregano as much, you like it, but maybe you like basil a little more, you can change the mixture and add a little more basil than oregano. Maybe somebody's got an allergy. Weird things happen. But you can stick to buying just the whole, the individual herbs to make your own blends. It also makes, if you get a big canister, you're more likely to go through it before it loses its pungentness, right? Herbs do have a shelf life. They do start getting less and less potent over time. So finding uses for them in a variety of ways can help you use them wisely and get them at the height of their flavor. So making our own Italian seasoning blend, which I swear I had right in front of me, Rebecca, some measuring spoons today. And you can be diligent and measure things carefully, or you can just do dumping, okay? I'm a cook that does a lot of just shaking of the herbs and throwing things in a pot. I don't break out measuring spoons that often, but I will for you guys today to be a good role model. How about that? All right, so we're going to start off with some basil. I do really enjoy basil. I like oregano too, but I like basil, especially in Italian food. I like the sweet smell of it. So the recipe I'm using is 4 teaspoons of basil. And I'm just using these cute little cups we have here at the center today. You can certainly use a bowl at home. And as I said, I like basil a lot. So I'm adding a 5th teaspoon. The recipe you read will say 4. I just put in a 5th one. I can count. I just really like basil. So we've got our basil in there. We've got oregano. Of course, I say that and I just give oregano a big heaping teaspoonful. There we go. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of rosemary. I am actually going to wait till I get this dried to put in there. I do have some dried hanging up at home already. It just wasn't quite dry this morning, so I'll be adding that up. And what you can do is just grind it up. After it dries, you can use a mortar and pestle. You can just get out your knife and chop it up, but you're going to kind of want to have comparable graininess to the basil and the oregano that you have seen me pour in here. So you don't necessarily want the big whole leaves. You want them chopped up a bit. So pretend I just put 4 teaspoons of rosemary in there. And marjoram. Well, my spoon won't fit in the marjoram, so we're going to have to kind of do this a pour technique. All right. There we go. 4 teaspoons of marjoram. I have garlic powder floating around on this table somewhere. And again, looking online, you can find several variations for Italian seasoning. This is just one that I found that I really like. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. It's the only thing that's not in 4s. So everything else is 4 teaspoons. So basil, oregano, rosemary, marjoram. We're pretending that rosemary and marjoram. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And you can start mixing it up. A lot of traditionally you can add 4 teaspoons of thyme. Right now I've got that fresh at my house and it's not ready to be dried. So you can have some thyme. You can add savory is a really popular one to add in there. That one you almost do have to grow it. It's a little bit harder to find in the grocery store dried. And you know, keep an eye out. But today I'm going to add one of my other favorite seasonings here. Goes on a lot of different things. I got to get the whole bigger. My spoon won't fit. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of parsley. Again, they use savory in the recipe that I will be sharing, but I'm going to use a little parsley today. All right. So all of those fellows get in there. Some recipes will involve a little bit of sage, so that's another option. Again, think of the flavors you like, what will complement your dish. You can always try out these recipes in smaller quantities first when you want to try them out. So instead of going all in with 4 teaspoons of all of these things, you could do a half a teaspoon and try it out in a recipe. See if you even like the combination. If you do, you can make a bigger batch. If you don't, you can swap something out. Again, just to make it your own special blend, because then it becomes so-and-so's Italian seasoning or whatever infamous title you want to give it. So after you get them all put together in the bowl, the hardest part here is just stirring it up. You just want to mix it up, and even then, you don't even have to stir it that well, because you're probably going to stick it in another package. I will disclaimer that with if you are making a very large batch. So if I was doing this as a Christmas project, I might use, you know, kind of a big bowl and multiply the batch out. So I had several little containers or baggies of this blend that I could package really sweetly and attach a recipe to and make it just a very sweet gift that I could give to multiple people. But just for the purposes of, well, this is just going to go home with me today, this will do. So you get this cute little blend, and you can package this up in a, you know, if you're taking it home with you, can just put it in a baggie, label it, put it in the cover. As a gift, you can certainly use some clear jars, or they make the cute decorative cellophane bags. Especially with herbs, I like to put it in something resealable. And I was thinking about that. You know how we all have those pill bottles we don't know what to do with after we use up the medications? Peel off those labels, wash them off really good. Decorate that bottle up a little bit, put a fun sticker on the top, put a label on it. Use those. They're even brown, so it protects the herbs from sunlight, and it'll help them be more shelf stable longer. So that's when we can do some, you know, lovely dry herb mixture. So that's our Italian herb. Now, probably my favorite thing to make is my own barbecue rub. We didn't do barbecue rub at Christmas time, but I figured it's summer, so we wanted to mix things up a bit. So with our barbecue rub, first thing I'm going to pop in it, this is a sweet rub, so this is something I would use for chicken or pork. Oops, just to make some noise there. And we're going to go in with, okay, so it's a fourth, and I grabbed a half a cup. So I'm taking, it looks like a half a cup, but I'm only filling it halfway. So a fourth of a cup of brown sugar. There we go. The rest of these are going to be smaller amounts. And then we need, it says sea salt. I like to kick it up a notch and do a different kind of salt. I like to use a smoked sea salt. Just really adds a nice smoky flavor to the meat. I like smoked things, so it just keeps that flavor going for me. And mine's in a little grinder right now, so I'm grinding out what's going to be about a tablespoon of coarse sea salt, or in my case, smoked sea salt here. There we go. If you're watching your salt content, of course, you can adjust that, not include any salt at all, if you wish. All right, we need our black pepper. Again, you can certainly crack some if you've got a mill. Ooh, sorry about that. Adding 2 teaspoons of black pepper. And somewhere floating around on this table, there it is. We need 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. I told you, I like smoky things. What can I say? All right, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. And then we're going to break out the garlic powder and the onion powder. I'll let you guess how much of each of these. I bet you can figure it out. You might be thinking the number 2, you know, equal parts here. Oh, these are really long and dangly. All righty. Of course, this means I get to barbecue this weekend. Woohoo! Break my heart. Okay. 1 and 2. Okay. So I've got equal portions of those. Just a couple more things here. You can add cayenne pepper. I've got some folks at home that don't enjoy, you know, that kind of kick, so I'm not going to add it. I am going to add the ground mustard. Again, I'm going to have it because my crew doesn't like the taste of mustard as much, but I do, so I meet them halfway and do half. And then this is how I sneak a little heat in, but it's different. I use some ground ginger, okay? So put a big teaspoon of ground ginger in there. All right, and again, really hard to do. I'm just going to get my whisk out and I'm just mixing that herb blend together. If you've got any little balls of seasoning that I've kind of gathered up, you can, again, get out that mortar pestle, the back of a spoon, something to break it up. You can use your fingers if it's just you eating it. Especially right now, I'd encourage you to use a utensil and not your hands if it's leaving your house. But you just mix your mixture up, gather it together. It looks like a colorful beach sand right now. And again, you just package that up into a jar. We could probably have to have a lot bigger container than a pill jar for this, but a mason, a small mason jar, or if you make a bigger batch, it will be a bigger mason jar. You could include cellophane bag, individual baggies, all kinds of things. Probably want to make sure it is plastic since we've got the brown sugar in there, and you do want that to kind of keep moist a little bit. But let's make a fun label for yourself, Hot Mama's BBQ Rub or something, and just have a lot of fun with it and make it your own. You could certainly give this gift nicely packaged along with a set of grilling tools or something. And I think this goes well for men and women. Who doesn't like some good barbecue? So those are just 2 ideas of things you can make to use yourself or to give as gifts that use herbs and spices from your kitchen. Now we're going to switch directions and head over to the bath. So again, we like to think of bath gifts largely for women, but you know what? Men can enjoy them too. Especially people who work with their hands, if you're a gardener or you're a mechanic or whatnot, and you are really hard on your hands, sometimes you just need a little pampering to make those feel good and to get rid of some rough or dry skin. So I always think people to use a sugar scrub or a salt scrub. It gets a little exfoliating action, and then some of the oils that you can add into it can really protect the skin, add some moisture and keep them from cracking. Super important to protect our skin. It is our first line of defense against all the things we touch and interact with during the day. So for our scrub, I am doing a salt scrub today. I'm going to do orange and rosemary salt scrub. So for this, you can certainly use dry or fresh. So I've got fresh today, and somewhere around the senior center is my orange zester. I did lose it today somewhere in the building. I don't know where I set it down, but I will find it, and that's a good thing. So for our scrub, we're going to be dealing with both of these fresh items. But first, some super, super simple ingredients. So we need a cup of kosher salt or coarse sea salt. All right, there's not a whole lot of brown sugar left in there, and it won't hurt if it is. So a little bit. There's our cup of salt. All right, and with our cup of salt, we are going to add in, I was kind of lost focus, about a half a cup of, you have a choice. You can use, I need to lay my salt down over here. I get my oils and my additives easier to reach. I put out of reach when you do two things at once. There you go. You can use olive oil or coconut oil. Make sure you use a good quality coconut oil. I actually get this out of the food aisle, so I know if it's safe to put in my body, it's going to be safe to put on my skin. And you just need to warm it up in the microwave. Just do a few seconds at a time and stir it, because you don't want to overheat it and smell a little funky if you do that. To get it liquidy, and then you can pour it in. I'm going to go ahead and just use olive oil today. So a half a cup. I should have wrestled with that spigot. There we go. Get it all in there. Of course, I got it in the cup. Now I've got to wait for it to drain out of the cup. Half a cup of olive oil. I'm going to add in, this is where you can do a few extra things. I'm going to add a few drops of vitamin E. Vitamin E oil, pick up at a health food store, cosmetics department sometimes, and I'm going to add a few drops of glycerin. Again, you get this in the pharmacy area of your local store. Of course, you can order all these things online too if you're at home right now. And I'm going to add in a couple of droppers full of jojoba oil, or some people call it jojoba oil. It's a jojoba, but there you go. And these are some of those extra oils that really add some nice moisture back to the skin and protectiveness to your skin. All right, so this is our base, and this is kind of what it looks like, and this is where it gets to be a bit fun, because you can just use it like this, honestly. If you need something that's unscented, just stir it up. Make sure you move those oils around so they connect with the salt that's in there. Kind of looks like a snow cone, like we're eating a yellow snow cone right now. I wouldn't, recommend taking a bite of this. Probably wouldn't taste very good, but that's what it looks like to me. From here, you can add your essential oils or herbs, fun things that have a nice smell that you enjoy. So you get a little aromatherapy along with the healing properties of your salt scrub. Now, in this particular case, I like to make things a little more unisex in my house. So you could do, vanilla and florals and roses and lavenders or lilacs and things like that. But I got some hardworking men in my life too that need something a little bit more neutral. So I'm just breaking some of these pieces of rosemary off. And I don't know about the men in your life. A lot of the guys, when they're working around the house, they tend to end up washing their hands at the kitchen sink using the Dawn soap for some reason because it works so well. But I'm going to keep this next to the sink for the rest of the summer probably. And that way I also don't have to worry about the rosemary clogging up a bathroom sink. That would be the only thing I would caution you on, is if you're going to use larger chunk of herbs, got to be careful which drain they go down. Alrighty. Of course, you could just break up the sprig, and after you get this packed into a jar, you could just take the whole kit and caboodle, bend it up like that, and stuff it down in the jar in the center of it, and just let the aroma of that rosemary leach out into the salt scrub. It'll just kind of adhere itself to what's around it. It's almost like an air freshener, you know, or a sachet packet. If you leave it with your clothes in a drawer, it ends up making your clothes smell like that sachet packet. So you can certainly do that with this rosemary and just let it diffuse the aromas and some of a little bit of the oils from the rosemary into your scrub. Now, same principle with the orange. We're not squeezing the orange, we're not juicing the orange. Really, we just want the zest, and this is why I'm missing my zester today. If you don't have a fancy orange zester, there are a couple of ways you can go about zesting something. And it looks a little bit, you know, like it's painful, I will say. So one thing you can do is take the fork tines, and you're just going to start scratching the skin of the orange. It can seem a little brutal, but you can see the orange peels starting to come off. And you can work it around that way. You can see right there, we're starting to get one of the 2 teaspoons of orange zest I was hoping for. Or, you know, instead of worrying about orange zest, again, thinking of the principles of diffusing the oils from the orange skin into the salt and the oils, you can just cut off some chunks of that orange. That's what I'm doing right here. And you can even, you know, do them in strips or however you want to do that. Lost one. I mean, this orange you can pretty much just tear into chunks. There you go. And then we're just going to take it, whether it be the peeling or the smaller zest pieces. We're just going to put all of that. Lost some. There we go. Put all of that orange peel we got off into our salt scrub and mix it around. Now again, if you have a bunch of essential oils hanging out at home, you could certainly use those instead. But right now, of course, if you have, you know, if you've got an orange laying around or a lemon, or you've got some fresh herbs that you think would go well together, you could certainly use those as well. Now, if you're going to use this as a gift, this is a gift you're going to have to use sooner than later because, you know, they can start congealing or get a little funky over time. Some of these fresh items aren't as shelf stable as stuff that's been preserved. So you would want to give this maybe a birthday gift that's coming up, or some gift, some reason you're needing to do something more recently, or just because, or treat yourself to a little hand massage and a little salt scrub to take care of your hands. So that's what that looks like. Imagine it in a mason jar, cute little label, maybe a little raffia bow. It would be a very cute little thinking of you gift, or a nice way to pamper yourself and take care of your own skin during the summer heat. Okay, last but not least, one of my favorite things to do is to soak my feet. I know a lot of people who enjoy doing like a bath soak and really just enjoy soaking in the tub. Not such a fan anymore as I once was of hanging out in the bathtub. I actually need that big bowl back. I knew I brought that big bowl back out here for something. So since I'm using this weekend, there we go. Ta-da! we are going to work on making an Epsom salt soap. Now, if you don't like to take a bath, don't get immediately turned off, because what I do is instead of using bath salts in the bathtub, soak in my whole body, and I put them in I have a little foot bath at home, those fun little things that bubbles and can hang out and soak your pitties after a hard day or after a hike or whatever you're needing to do, or if your arthritis is bothering your joints, it can be a fun thing to do. Now, magnesium, Epsom salts, are a proven muscle relaxer. They really help inflammation. I don't know all the science behind it, but it's one of those old folks tales that has been around a long time, and it's actually true. A lot of people use Epsom salts for some just pain relief, not really pain relief, but discomfort relief. It can soothe nerves and muscle tension. So give it a try. So it's very simple to do. And again, this is one where you can change up the essential oils you use to, be something that you like and want to smell. So when I do a foot soak, I'm not only getting the relaxation of soaking my feet, I pick a smell that's also calming to me, or immune stimulant or respiratory stimulant, just to help me feel like an overall sense of well-being. Well, I feel like I'm pampering myself a little bit. Really, it's not pampering. I'm doing some self-care. I'm helping make sure that my body's got all it has to put up with all I put it through in the day. So let's make this sucker up. Literally, like 3 ingredients. You can't beat 3 ingredients. Woo! So we are doing 2 cups of Epsom salt. Maybe 2 cups. There we go. Pretty much I just pour the rest of this bag in here because it was trying to short me just a little bit. There we go. Ha ha ha. Got it in there. Okay, 2 cups of Epsom salts, 1 cup of baking soda. There you go, baking soda. There we go. It can be fun to make things fizzy. Just get another measuring cup, Rebecca. Give up. There we go. There we go. Baking soda can also help with act as a deodorizer. So when we're talking about feet, if you've got really stinky feet, maybe you need to add a little more baking soda. I don't know. No judgment here. And then lastly, of the official recipe guidelines would be about 20 drops of essential oil. I brought eucalyptus. I didn't bring a dropper because I like the smell of eucalyptus. So I'm just going to give it a poursy because I really like it. And as I said, it gives me a nice calming overall sense of well-being. It opens up my breathing. I do have asthma, so it just kind of really makes me feel like I'm getting a relaxing experience, and I'm helping my mind and my lungs as well when I'm using eucalyptus. So you can certainly go with that. If you don't like eucalyptus, some people really don't. If you like florals, you could do a floral essential oil, or pick an essential oil that you like. When it comes to oils, I am going to give you a caution. I know that you can go over to the candle area, sometimes, other parts of the store where they're talking about aromatherapy. Make sure you read the packaging carefully. Not all essential oils are created equally, and those are generally don't have as good a quality of carrier oils. They're meant for just diffusing things, smells into the air, for putting in burners or whatnot. They're not meant for ingesting. And if you're not eating it, it might not be the best quality to put on your skin either. And we are talking about, having our body soaking in this. So make sure you're using a good quality essential oil, or use just the base, just the salt, just the baking soda. It's still a good experience. If you want to add a little pampering for the skin, again, you can add in the glycerin, really good protectant for skin. You can add some jojoba oil. you can add in some vitamin E. You'll notice I tend to use these a lot here. Trying to give my skin some protection whenever I can. And again, you're just going to give it a quick blending up and then package it up, and it's ready for you to use or for you to give to someone else to use. And it's going to look a little lumpy and it's going to look a little, like half done, but that's okay. This is actually also the process you would start to use for making bath bombs. To do a bath bomb, usually you just have to use a little more oil and some cornstarch to help get them to shape into something. But you can certainly look up recipes for bath bombs on the internet as well. Those can be fun to give to people or share with grandchildren, or, it can be a quick way to throw something into your foot bath or bathtub for yourself. So there you go. That's just what that looks like. Again, I would just put this in a bag, probably in a baggie so it can be resealed, and then you could add that to another package or into a mason jar. And it would be a great gift to give to someone or a great way to keep it for yourself to use when you need a little pick-me-up and a little TLC. And I think we all could use a little TLC right now. So I encourage you to do a little self-care today. Make up a scrub or have a foot soak, have a little aromatherapy, or go play in the kitchen a little bit and make yourself something good to eat. You're worth it. We miss you guys. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. Enjoy. Bye-bye.